Arab, Jewish, black, brown, white, workers of the world unite. Arab, Jewish, black, brown, white, workers of the world unite. Arab, Jewish, black, brown, white, workers of the world unite. So I want to speak for West Wednesday, and I'll explain what that is. And then I want to speak about the powerful history of May Day. As soon as my notes reappear. So, last year in 2023, the number of community violence murders went down by 12 or 13%. But the number of killings by police increased. And they have been consistently at least 1,100 people a year, 3 a day, killed by police around the United States. In Baltimore, in July of 2013, a man named Tyrone West, who was 44 years old, he was an artist, he was a grandfather, was driving his sister's Mercedes-Benz, and to a racist cop, nothing is more of a red signal than a black man driving an expensive car. So not far from Morgan University, he was stopped by one of the gun trace task force officers and other officers, called the N-word more than once, pulled out of the car by his dreadlocks, tased, maced, beaten, and then sat upon by a cop from Morgan University, which is good reason to demand they not have an armed police force here. Sat upon by an officer from Morgan University as he breathed his last breath. Just 2 weeks before that, the Baltimore police had brutalized another man in the same neighborhood. Similarly, at a traffic stop, nearly killed him, had him upside down and dropped him on his head in front of his 3-year-old in the back seat of the car, watching. He's been traumatized ever since. And had those cops been taken off the force and put in jail, or at least prosecuted, Tyrone West 2 weeks later would probably still have been alive and not killed by the police. So the family of Tyrone West, every Wednesday for the last 10.5 years, have held a rally, and since the pandemic, sometimes live streams, demanding that the officers who killed Tyrone West be prosecuted. Those officers are still in the force and they have gotten promotions. Shame! It's a big shame. Now in the United States, sometimes people are murdered by someone they know. That's the most common type of murder. But sometimes people are murdered by a stranger. 1/3 of the murders by strangers are committed by police. Now the West Wednesday Coalition has not yet succeeded in getting these officers prosecuted, but we have had some victories along the way. At one point, Baltimore City wanted to bring in a new police commissioner some years back. His name, where is it? His name was Fitzgerald. Sorry about my memory. He was from Fort Worth, Texas, and had a terrible reputation for condoning brutal police. And the West Wednesday group, along with others, had a big speak out at City Council, and we were able, along with others, to stop the city from bringing in that Fitzgerald as the new police commissioner. And we like to think that we saved a number of lives doing that. Then, it used to be, if the police brutalized or murdered someone in Baltimore and their families won a settlement, they would have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. That is to say, a gag order, which meant if you said a word in public about what happened, they would yank the settlement away from you. organizations, we made a big fight about that, and we succeeded. They are no longer allowed to require a gag order when a family wins a settlement for a loved one having been brutalized or killed by the police. But there's one battle we haven't won. Baltimore has a new police commissioner. We call him Worthless Worley. Worley is his name. Worley was the commander of the Northeast District at the time the cops under his command killed Tyrone West. He's an enabler of the most vicious, racist, violent police misbehavior. Or I should say, their expected behavior is more accurate. But he's a perpetrator of that kind of violence. We tried hard to stop the city council from whatever it is they do when the mayor wants someone new as police commissioner, from doing that, but they went ahead and brought him in anyway, knowing his violent racist history. Now, thank you. If anyone wants to watch the weekly West Wednesday rally, tonight it happens to be a live stream and not a rally on the street. It's going to start somewhere around 7:30. Sometimes we're a little bit late. So you can look it up on Facebook under Tawanda Jones. Tawanda is all A's, T-A-W-A-N-D-A. Tawanda Jones on her Facebook page. That's the sister of Tyrone West, who has played the main leadership role in keeping these West Wednesday rallies going. So if you like to watch the live stream, you can look it up there. I'll just mention that personally, one of the reasons I got involved in West Wednesday is because I was a high school teacher in the Baltimore City schools for many years until I retired, and I happen to have taught 3 of the cousins of Tyrone West, and it makes me personally very angry about what they did to Tyrone. So now I want to switch gears. In addition to being part of West Wednesday, I'm a member of the Revolutionary Communist Progressive Labor Party. And I want to talk about 3 special moments in the history of May Day that indicate how powerful and important it is. As we approached May Day in 1945, the Red Army, the Communist Army from the Soviet Union in those days, they won the first battle against the Nazi war machine in the Battle of Stalingrad. And then they pursued the Nazis back to Germany, and May Day inspired them, and they worked really, really hard and selflessly to defeat the Nazis and put the red flag up over the German Reichstag in Berlin in 1945 on May the 1st, and they did it. In 1975, here in the United States, in Boston, there was a violent racist organization called ROAR, which stood for Restore Our Alienated Rights. They were like the Ku Klux Klan, but had another name. And their main activity was organizing hundreds of racists in South Boston, which was predominantly white, to throw rocks through the windows of the school buses, bringing black children in to integrate those schools. They had 2 members on the city council. They were a very dangerous movement. So Progressive Labor Party decided they had to be stopped. And in 1975, for May the 1st, for our May Day March, we held it right in South Boston to challenge those violent racists. We had people in the front of the march with red berets, 25 deep, all along the sides of May Day, 5 deep on each side, prepared to fight if need be. And those racists were slick. They came out before we were all there, before the sound truck was set up, and they attacked, and the police supported them. But we were able to get the upper hand in that fight, and we held that May Day March, and they couldn't stop it. And then, during that summer summer of 1975 in Boston, we had a major summer project. We brought people from around the country who did activity after activity against those races. We integrated a beach where they had tried to keep it segregated, and they attacked us at every possible moment physically. But by the end of the summer, we had a profound impact, and they were unable, try as they might, they were unable, again, to organize violent races to throw rocks through the windows of those school buses, which they tried to do, but they could not. We had changed the political atmosphere of Boston in the summer of 1975, having started with the inspiration of May Day. And we regard that as the last great battle in the civil rights movement in the United States. Because if that raw racist group had prevailed, there were racists all over the country watching, and they would have tried to duplicate those activities countrywide. The fact that we stopped them and shut them down was a major victory inspired by May Day. And the last example I want to give is 1986. 1986 was the 100th anniversary of the start of May Day, when it began with that strike, nationwide strike for the 8-hour workday. And I want to take us to South Africa. This was during apartheid. It was 8 years before apartheid was defeated, although it was not defeated enough. But it was 8 years prior to that. And in South Africa, of all the struggles during the decades of fighting against apartheid, the very biggest struggle of all was May the 1st, 1986, on the 100th anniversary of May Day, and the main demand of that strike, although some demands, of course, were about abolishing apartheid, but the main demand of that strike was to make May Day a legal holiday, as it is in much of the world, and not here, even though it started here. So South Africa made a major contribution in the fight against apartheid and the fight to uphold the historic inspiration of May Day. Now, if anyone would like to come, I'll be here afterwards. We're going to have a dinner in College Park, a regional dinner for this area, the Baltimore and Washington area, about May Day. You're very welcome to come. It's this Saturday. And I think I'm going to end with our chant once more. If you could repeat. Oh, I forgot. At West Wednesday, each week, we uphold the most recent names of people killed by the police. So would it be okay if I do that here? All right, give me a minute to find them.
Okay, yeah.
These are the people around the United States killed by police from April 19th to April 27th, a week and a day or two. 23 lives stolen by police. So, if you could repeat the names after me as we honor each victim, that would be great. In some cases, the name has not yet been posted. We have this information from the Washington Post. Sometimes the name is not yet available. In that case, what we say at West Wednesday is, killer cops in cell blocks, Ashe. And Ashe is Yoruba, meaning let it be so. Not let the deaths be so, but let the incarceration of killer cops be so. First, killed by police in Whitehall, Ohio, April the 19th, Santiago Munoz. On April the 19th again, killed by police in Tucson, Arizona, someone whose name has not yet been revealed. Killer cops for cell blocks, Ashe. April the 20th, in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, 33 years old, Brian White.
Brian White.
On the 20th, yet again, killed by police, 26 years old, in Corpus Christi, Texas, a man whose name has not yet been posted. Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe. On April 20th again, in Corona, New York, 65 years old, Jesus Nunez.
Jesus Nunez.
April 21st, in Easterly, South Carolina, 33 years old, Sean Elrod.
Sean Elrod.
April 21st again, in Rock Hill, South Carolina, 52 years old, Richard Sonjic.
Richard Sonjic.
April 21st, in San Antonio, Texas, 42 years old, Sashim Sahu.
Sashim Sahu.
April 21st again, in Boise, Idaho, 65 years old, Dennis Mulqueen.
Dennis Mulqueen.
31 years old, April the 23rd, sorry the writing's tiny, in Sanderson, Georgia, Jacob Henson.
Jacob Henson.
Killed by police in Orlando, Florida, 29 years old, Michael Dennis.
Michael Dennis.
Killed by police in Yulee, Florida, April 25th, a man whose identity has not yet been stated. Good. Cell blocks for killing cops, Ashe. April 25th in Lake Worth, Florida, 38 years old, Benoit Pasteur.
Benoit Pasteur.
April 25th in Knoxville, Alabama, a man who has not yet been identified. Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe. April 25th in Valparaiso, Indiana, 20 years old, Caden Mora. April 26th, Memphis, Tennessee, 30 years old, James Hampton.
James Hampton.
April 26th in Phoenix, Arizona, Christian Gonzalez.
Christian Gonzalez.
April 27th in Washington County, Florida, 42 years old, Brian Lopez. April 27th in Austin, Texas, a person who has not yet been identified. Ashe. April 27th in Knoxville, Tennessee, 25 years old, Jamori Griffin.
Jamori Griffin.
April 27th in Lakeland, Florida, 26 years old, Kyron Caples.
Kyron Caples.
And last person to be upheld tonight, killed by police in New Haven, Indiana, 37 years old, Robert Visenya.
Robert Visenya.
It's an honor to be here with all of you today. The work you're doing is damn important, and I hope you keep it up. And I'll skip the final chant because I took a lot of time.
We understand that there's prayer at 8, so we want to make sure we're all wrapped up before then, but we have another important thing coming up. I want to introduce, again, my dear comrade Joyce and our comrade Van to talk about Duryea Green. Prisoners are workers too.
Prisoners are workers.